believes that with me? Okay, good. So our jobs is done. I can go back home. So I'll try to do that is I'll tell you a little bit about my story, and emphasize and just show you really that you can do better than me. And Mashudu will come augment with a little bit of his story and some principles to say the same thing, and then we'll add a scripture or two to sort of say, you here can do better than us. And I expect each and every one of you here to do better than me. That's the bare minimum expectation. And if this doesn't work, you can pretend like someone has called you and then sneak out at the back. Because the rest of the conversation really, it's just about that. I want you to do better than me. I expect you to do better than me. I believe you can do better than me. And so does Mashudu. Right, so maybe let me tell you a little bit about me so you can see for yourself that you can do better than me. And that you will do better than me. And that I expect you to do better than me. All right, so we're going to do this through slides. So at the back, we'll find a way to work together. So I grew up in a village up in Limpopo. It's a village called Habegwa, Chauru. I've got some images to sort of show where that is. That they're going to go to the next page. Are we winning there at the back? Okay. Let's give them a couple of seconds. We managed to get the first page out. So what's the deal again? What's the expectation? Way better. That is the only expectation, and it's the reason why I'm sort of going to take you through my story to kind of put that as okay, this is the bare minimum. These Harvard things you're hearing, these PhD things you're hearing, bare minimum. Okay. I think they're going to reload the slides. We're back. Oh, there we go. Let's give them a round of applause. They did it. So I've had it as pictures so you can also see for yourself. And what are we going to see for ourselves? That you can do way better. And that's the expectation for today. So I grew up in this village. You can just go to the next page. So you might be able to see over there that there's a hut and there's an unfinished face brick house, yeah? So that's my home. And that picture was taken, I think, a year after I started working. And for quite a number of years, we stayed in that hut, raised by a single mom who used to earn 300 rand for most of her career. She was a domestic helper. She was raising the three of us. So I'm the middle child. My brother was 6 years older than me, and my sister who's 2 years younger. And we somehow, I remember days when this will be home, but I'll be staying with another aunt, and my brother will be staying with another uncle, and maybe my mom and sister will stay there. And growing up here, you heard about the PhD. When I was in standard 3, does anyone know what that even means? Yeah, yeah, yeah. At this place, at that school, in this time, when you were, at our time, when you were very good academically, when you're good, you pass, right? When you were incredibly good, they make you skip a class. When you were not yet getting it, you fail. But when you are like terribly not getting it, they will send you a class back. And that's what happened to me. So one of the teachers, who sort of is my aunt as well, came to my mom and say, he's not doing well. And the recommendation was not to fail him, but was to send him a class back. And that's what happened. So when you hear these PhDs, we're talking about someone who was at school, and instead of failing him, they asked to take him a class back. And if I was to fast forward, I now have, I think, 10 post-matric qualifications, if not more. Chemical engineering degrees, 3 postgrads, masters, and all the many things acclimatizing to a PhD in finance. This is the person who was sent a class back. Now, who has been sent a class back here? Right, just so. So now there comes the first expectation. The expectation is that you will do way better. All right, so growing up here, and we can talk a lot about how difficult it was. So I get sent a class back, and then my aunt stayed behind and helped me, etc. We fast track grade 9. Now I'm doing way better than I used to. And we were praying. We had a 7-day fasting thing, which we used to do from the 1st to the 7th of each month. And I remember very clearly my pastor at the time saying, let's pray for our futures and our careers. We do that. I walking back to that place, and one of my uncles drive through and say, hey, would you want to go study at Mbiri? It's one of the better schools in town. I say yes. Then we facilitate, someone give us a form to complete. Now, I get the form. He spoke about forms earlier. The form had courses to complete to show, what marks are you getting in math, in science, in biology, etc. So those, I was in grade 9, we used to choose streams. I had chosen the accountancy stream. Now, I get the form. At Mbiri, they didn't do any other stream except math and science. I get the form. I could only complete maybe 3 or so subjects like English, maths, and maybe 1 or 2. Step number 1, we extended the form and created other courses, accounting, business science, the other courses that I was doing. And then I completed that, and then we sent. Somehow we get called in to do the interview. And they ask, to do the entrance exam. So this is around towards the end of the year. I go back to my school, and I asked for these textbooks. So the entrance exam, you do math exam and physical science exam, which is physics and chemistry. These are the courses I hadn't done for about 2 years. So I go to school, I get the 2 years worth of those books to try plow through and read over December. I read as much as I can. Mid-January, we go write these entrance exams. I was confident with math, but not so much with the physical sciences because I self-taught myself over a December holiday. we get there, and on that year, so we're coming into Rite, and it was like hundreds and hundreds of people. We were fighting for 5 slots in grade 10. Hundreds of people come in, they're all prepared. So on that year, we go in the hall, about to go write the exam. They announced that for this year going forward, no more exams. So you will just take your name off. They put 5 tickets that says admitted and the rest blank. So you go in there, you take one. If it's blank, you go home. If it says admitted, you're in. I don't know. We can stay there. I'll circle back to some of these. I lost my train of thought. So we get to and my surname starts. So they do this thing alphabetically, A B all the way. My surname starts with a T. So right down towards the end, I get there and I remember this clearly, kind of putting my name in the box, and I go ngadzina la yes. I don't know if you know what that means. I take this thing out, it says admitted. I could absolutely not believe it. And I'll explain a little bit why I'm slowing down to tell some of these stories. So then we take this thing, it says admitted, and then that's the beginning of the problems. Because that school Mbiri has a unique uniform, like maroon, like what Wafunzi is wearing. I'm admitted, but we have no uniform for the school. The first day of school, we couldn't go because my mom and I were trying to find anyone, anywhere that might have that uniform. Eventually, we found someone who was a lot shorter, and they wore black shoes as well. So I didn't have those. I was wearing some, 20 rand types of kind of techies. And then someone had passed matric and then donated his white shirts. So I've got these super short maroon pants, white techies, big white shirts. I show up in grade 10. It was the second day. I don't think I've ever been laughed at. He was one of the instigators. And then fast forward, we continue. So we can go back to the slide. So growing up, we will go, especially when we were a lot younger, you will wake up, and then you go to the river to go bath, even in winter, and then you go back, and we'll walk quite a long distance to school. This is sort of where we will play. You can see the soccer field there with the poles. And that's how we grow up for the most part. The next slide will sort of show in my, especially earlier years, some of the classrooms were under the trees, some in tents, some in some of these structures, eventually sort of getting to Mbiri. Now, I want to just kind of pause here and go, I believe you can do better. And I know you will do better. And I expect you to do better than some of us. So let's fast track some more with the slides. This is... let me add this one story. So I joined Biri, and then ultimately I get the uniform, and then we get to matric. Matric I pass with 5 distinctions. Thank you. And then that creates its own sort of problems, which is now we applied to like universities. I applied to UCT, I applied to Wits, and I didn't have a bursary. And everyone in the village is like, so where are you going? And I'm like, I applied to UCT, and there was no one, there's no money. My mom is a domestic worker. And literally, we will wake up and exchange times to go to church. You just kind of empty, and then you just come, pray, and then you go home, and then repeat. And then I went to my school principal. I sort of said, hey, here are the marks, there's nothing. He gave me this easy advice. Why don't you just fax your results to as many companies as possible? We faxed the results, and then go back home. You sort of come sit, and there's nothing really, like, it was just a tough time. The one day, my mom had a Nokia 3310. The phone rings, which is the number we put in there. And then she sort of runs, she answers, and she runs back in. She says, Ndimukua, you know. And it turns out it's this lady, Angela Fanikek, calling from Mintech and sort of saying, hey, you got your results. It says here that you want to do chemical engineering at UCT and you've been admitted. Is that true? True. Yes. Long story short, she's fixing the contract. I get a bursary, and then a couple of weeks later, I'm in Cape Town. And yes. And that comes with its own acclimatizing problems, which I think some of you are familiar with. So fast track, I'm in Cape Town. I study chemical engineering. I graduate, and that just was a big shift in my life. And when I was in Cape Town, I was a men's ministry leader at the Student Christian Fellowship. And then there was this other beautiful lady who was a women's ministry leader. And if you show the slides, 13 years ago, 13 years ago, we got married and are blessed with 3 boys who keep me incredibly busy. So then my career, I started as a chemical engineer. 2 years in, I'm feeling a little bit restless because I feel like I've got this other passion for leadership and sort of some business and marketing, but I don't quite know it yet. Eventually, I registered for a postgrad diploma in management. We do this program at Wits, and they taught a course in strategy. I'm just like, this is the best thing ever taught. I literally read everything and the case studies and all of that. And then it turns out you can actually have a career being a strategist. Met one of my mentors, introduced me to a director at Deloitte. I meet the guy. He says, no, you belong at Deloitte. We go through the interview processes. I end up at Deloitte. I do this work, ended up at McKinsey, and then be a strategy manager at MTN, and then went to Discovery, ended up heading up one of the business units there, went to Telesure, GM of One Life, and then ultimately lead Dial Direct. And I'm doing this at, I don't know, age 33. I'm this young CEO of a big insurance company. So things are going well. You can appreciate, yeah? So now, as things are going well, I'm on radio, I'm on TV. I hear this, it's just unsettling again with that thing around leadership. And I started the conferences and the podcast to talk about leadership. Eventually, I find myself at a silence retreat. I went for a silence retreat for 4 days. When I got there, I had one clear ask. How should my path go? I feel this passion towards strategy and leadership as a thing I do full time, or I can continue in corporate, or I can do other things. I come out of there very clear that I wanted to start a leadership consulting firm. Left this wonderful paying job, high profile job, to start a consulting firm called Super Lead Advisory. Do you want to maybe go to some of those slides? I'm way down. This is where I did my silence retreat. Let's go to the next one. 2021 March. That's what was my day one at this new venture I started. Do you know what happened 3 weeks later in 2020 March? COVID hit. So when you do this consulting and coaching, at the time we knew it as, you meet with people and you coach them. And I wanted to teach in business schools and facilitate. How do you do that? This is how you essentially do it. So 1 March 2020, COVID hits, and we went through that season, worked. I don't think I've ever worked as hard, 18-hour days, etc. And 6 years later, today, we are this company that does consulting, coaching, and facilitation. We do work here in South Africa, in Cameroon, Botswana, in the UK, and we're starting another piece in Namibia. Literally, we have worked with a number of these organizations through advisory, through coaching their leaders, facilitating strategy sessions, etc., etc. This work has also seen me, the next slide, travel quite extensively. I think a year we've got about 25 countries, both holidays and work. Botswana, Malawi, Tanzania, a whole range of countries globally we get to. So those are the abbreviations of the countries. Like GH will be Ghana, the UAE, Italy, Czech Republic, the UK, etc., etc. And not only that, if you go to the next slide, I'm a soccer fan. Any soccer fans? You get to travel to go watch Liverpool play live, watch F1 in Singapore, watch the same in Italy, etc. We can go to the next slide so I can conclude soon. We host these leadership summits. I think some of you have attended one or two. I think we have this studio. We run leadership awards. We were celebrating our 5-year as a company, Black-owned management consultancy, Pan-African consulting firm, started right here in Mzansi by someone who grew up at the village. Thank you. And my reflections are as follows, where I started, which is, we had detours, we bathed at the river before going to schools. There's a lot that we kind of pushed through, navigated, and I imagine you could do better than our journeys. Yes? You not only can study at Harvard, but you can teach there. Yeah? You not only can start a company that is doing work across the globe, but you can start companies that do that. Not only can you, have these summits and attend them and watch these games in these global spaces, but you can do way more and inspire way more people than our path may have taken us thus far. Yes? Why has it gotten quieter? When we started, I was sure that you were going to do more. Do we still believe that you will do better than us? Yes. You will absolutely, with God with you, do way better than us. Okay, good. And one of the reasons is that some of us found our purpose and the passion a little bit later in life. Some of us, we attended a career day and then there was a chemical engineering, there was a bursary for it. But I think nowadays we can access better information and find our unique strengths and encodings a lot earlier than us. Yeah? Okay, let's go. I want to, if we can do the Gallup slides, page 21. I want to ask a couple of questions, and if it's you, if you can raise your hand. Page 21. Page 20. The next couple of pages. Is it frozen? There we go. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Yeah, let's pause here. So just show me if you, by raising your hand, if you start conversations with people you don't know, whether at school, university, or anywhere. You easily do that. Right, what's wrong with some of these young people? Okay, let's go to the next one. Raise your hands if you keep your room or study space, like wardrobe, like super tidy, well organized. Wow. Let's see another question. If you write down a list of things to do and stick to it even on weekends. What is happening here? Next one. Raise your hand if you need to pick someone to compete with for anything, really. Yeah, I can raise 2 hands for this one. So I run marathons every now and again, and then you train at a certain level, and you're supposed to run at that level, and then I'll run, and then someone passes me. I'm like, no, he's not passing me. And I get myself injured. And especially you look someone like, no, man, that one is a little bit older than me. So that's not going to happen. So raise your hand if, let's see, the next one. Is it stuck? Okay, it might be stuck. So there were a few of these things. So you know how you instinctively just raised your hand? In our line of work, we sort of say there is a pattern of thinking, feeling, and behaving that's unique to you. You have a pattern of thinking, feeling, and behavior that is just designed for you. And some of us effortlessly start conversations. Some of us think in orderly manner. Some of you easily and naturally influence others. You didn't go to school to lead or influence people. You just naturally wake up like that. Some of you easily see patterns in data. Some of you consistently have this positive outlook. And then I can go on and on and on. And in our language, we say, when that natural pattern of thinking, feeling, and behaving is productively applied, we call that talent. Now, because we each have our unique hard wiring, it means that we are all talented, but differently. In this thing, we do like these assessments, and in the Gallup assessments, and they find that your unique hard wiring, there is 1 in 33 million people that have like sort of your top 5 in a way that you are hardwired. Which means there's probably 2 people in South Africa that are uniquely hardwired like you. Where I want to suggest is this. Some of us found out our strengths, our passions, our unique hardwiring a little bit later in life. And the more you can lean into your hardwiring, the faster you are likely going to get to your destination. And these days, there are easy assessments. Some are free. One of the things that there's an author called Jim Collins. He wrote a book called What to Make of Life. He studied all these successful people, and he arrived at this thing. The people that leaned into their unique hardwiring, those are the people that were successful. Like you can't sort of say, do this, do that, do that, do that, do that. Because some people they went around differently. But people that leaned into their hard wiring, those tend to be successful and they go further. And my first ask for you is this. Could you study you as early as you can? To go, I think I seem to just enjoy numbers. And my ask is, please don't ignore that. And I just come alive when I have to manage a project. And if you could lean into this thing and study a project called you, the sooner you find this about you, the faster and the further you are likely to go. Right, so let's skip that, and then I need to hand over to Mashudu. Let's go to the next slide called Bible Quiz. So we'll skip all of these, because of time. We'll skip a bunch of these things. I can send the slides to Bafunzi. Yeah, let's pause here. I can send the slides for Bafunzi for you to. How many of us have read the Bible and know there are Bibles? Hey, Bible. Some of you have read it, cover to cover, yeah? Okay, and the Bafunzi. So now, can someone tell me who Shamua is? There. He's in the Bible. Does someone know Shaphat? Is in the Bible. Don't be Googling now. Does someone know Igal? Even my pastors here. Does someone know Palti? He's there in the Bible. Gadiel? Anyone come across Gadiel in the Bible? Someone know Gadi? Someone know Amiel? Can't tell which Bible are we reading? Someone know Sethu? No? Someone know Narbi? And then someone know that last name? Okay, let's go to the next slide. I've added 2 more names. Someone know Joshua? Yes. Someone knows Caleb? Yes. Now, these were the 12 men that were sent by Moses to go spy and look at the land. And yet, we don't know the 10. These are the same, they had the same conditions. They saw the same sort of opportunities. The 10 came back with a bad report. And we don't know them. They came back and say, yeah, we can see this thing of traveling globally and making an impact in the marketplace and doing all of these things. And they came back and say, we can't do it. And it's the reason you don't know them. He has read the Bible, I think you've read it 4 or 5 times, back cover to cover, 4 times. He's read the Bible 4 times from Genesis to Revelations, every single page. I asked him when we were outside, do you know Gadiel? He doesn't know him. And here is what I want to sort of land at. We can all see the same potential. We can all be inspired that it's possible. What report will you bring back for yourself? Because if you are one of those 10 that goes, yeah, I hear you, it was wonderful, and you expect us to do way better, you can hear all of these things and then come back and say it's not possible. Those giants are too big for us. The situations are too hard for us. Or you can be like Joshua and Caleb that says we see the giants. We see that the walls are fortified. We see that it's going to be hard. But God is with us. And we're going to conquer. And we're going to get there. I told you some of the stories about, they will send me a form without my subjects. I will extend it. They will sort of say there will be an entry exam and you're gonna be examined on things you haven't done for 2 years. I went nonetheless. I can go story and example after example to sort of say, can you believe God to do the impossible through you? And our circumstances many of our circumstances are dire, and it's tough, and I am with you. But I still, with the same God, believe that you can do way, way better than any of our stories. If you could just kind of go, God is with us. We see the giants. We see the hunger. We see the poverty. We see the struggle. But God is bigger than the giants. All it took for Mashudu to not know the 10 is how they looked at themselves relative to the challenges in front of them. So my last thing before I call Mashudu up to continue is, could you please lean into your next biggest challenge? That thing that feels impossible, if it's math or whatever you have to do, can I invite you to lean in and to a point where you get to the very end where only God can make it happen. Many of us self-deselect out of a path towards destiny. We look at this thing and they say, they want what? 60% of what? And then we drop out of the race. And so some of us were going in to this thing and get admitted to a school without the uniform for it. And then, yes, we can skip day one of school because we still don't have the uniform, but we're going to go anyway. Some of us could have sort of looked at this thing and say, but they require that school uniform, they require maths and science entry exam, they require this, they require that. Go anyway. And if you do, you will do way better than any of us has accomplished. Can I ask Mashudu to continue?
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Let's give him a hand again. Wow. How do you even continue from that? Look at the person next to you and say, you're a genius. Okay, look at the other one and say, you are Joshua. And the other one and say, you are Caleb. Awesome. Take your seat. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Pastor Chauke and Mamfundis. I don't know where she is. We appreciate the invitation. Thank you, Maanda, for that. A wonderful talk, I think. And I'm here to say, how does that make a difference? You can hear the best talks, and it doesn't make a difference. Believe you me, you can hear this and stand up and clap hands and go home, and everything continues as it is, and you end up nowhere. But how do you hear this and end up in a better space? How do you change this? And this is what we do mostly when we do Teenpreneur and Teenagers Empowerment Program. We encourage young people to say, even when I preach, I say, if you hear this and you go home and you do nothing, what have you done? You've wasted your time, because the difference between you and the person who didn't come is zero. Right? If you came, you listen, you clap, and you jump up and go, oh, come out, go doctor. And then you go home and you become nothing. Literally, maybe the other person did something better who did not come. So the difference here, it's in the doing. Now I want to tell my story. Today I want to tell you a little bit of my story because of how I met Maanda. So in grade 10, I failed. I'm telling you the truth. Like, repeat. Dismally. And that is when Maanda joined Mbiri, and that's how I got to be with Maanda. And I sat with Maanda to make fun of him. Like, He looked very confused. He was new in this school. Some of us were seniors. We knew how to pass from grade 8 and grade 9, and we also knew how to fail. So we had mastered the art of schooling. So I needed to show him a bit of stripes and said, this is how we do things here, kind of a thing. So I sat with him, and I remember asking Maanda, okay, who are you and stuff? And I asking, what does your parents do? It's like, no, my mother is a nurse. I'm like, me too, mine too. They were both domestic workers earning 400 rand. Yes, but God has been great. Our lives have been turned around because we trust a very powerful and capable God. He's not trying this thing out. He created all of it. And if we can do everything we do from that point of reference, we actually understand how unlimited we are. Because we do not do what we do out of a point of reference of the world. And we don't do what we do out of a point of reference of who we are. We do it out of a point of reference of whose we are. Because our purpose is reflected in who created us, not who gave birth to us. And that is what makes all the difference between you and somebody else who is out there. You get a better foundation. You can do better through Christ who strengthens you. So you don't have to work it out on your own. You work it out with God. Some of us, I was an outlaw in high school, and I'm grateful. And this is where maybe a little bit of my story must be told, but I will tell it some other time. But I was a kind of an outlaw. The day the principal saw me holding the Bible, he was swearing at me. Like he was so angry that I'm defiling the Bible. Because of the history that I was. But then I met Maanda, and then there was a very positive influence when we became friends. And I started looking at this young man who just came here having done accounting, and now he's doing maths and science, and he's working very hard. When we were in grade 12, we used to say, Muchudenwa grade 12, avuwi utotakuwa. So we never used to wake up when we were in grade 12. We used to stand up. So we studied the whole night. And we stand up in the morning. We call each other about 3, 4. Have you woken up yet? Have you stood up yet? So I'm saying this just to reflect on how hardworking and how much effort it takes or it took for us to be where we are. But I don't think you have to work less harder. But I actually think you have got a better playing ground to start from. So I want to tell a couple of people here that became the Joshua and Caleb within the communities that we minister or we share. And I'm going to use, some of them I'm going to use placeholder names because they are still young and I didn't get a go-ahead from the parents to speak about. I'm going to start with Litabo, for example. So Litabo's mom sees Teenpreneur Hub on Facebook. And then she sends me an inbox, and she's like, I want my daughter, who was 13 years old, to come and join the program and start learning what you guys are teaching. And then Litabo comes and join our program that year, 2019. She was 13 years old. And then when she left there, she went and wrote a book. She has written, I think, 3 books now. She is in radio talking. She's running businesses as we speak. And that was 2019. So how old is she now? She's 19-ish. She's still a teenager. But she has done a whole lot of change and transformation. She's speaking in radios and TVs already because she chose to hear or learn and immediately do. Same time. The second one it's more of a young adult, so I can mention his name is Adonis. Adonis sees what we do on Facebook as well, and he sends a message and says, I would like to be part of this. Same Facebook. I'm talking about technology, right? Same Facebook that you maybe you guys don't use it now, use Instagram and TikTok. Sees the same Facebook that everybody in the world gets to see, and then decides that I'm going to do something about it. Adonis sends a message, an inbox. We have got a CRM, it's called the Customer Relationship Management Platform, that we use. Everybody who sends a message anywhere in any of our platform, it comes to the same place, and one of our leaders can respond. So we have always had that. I'm in the technology side of the world, so we cannot do that. So when the screen was not moving, I went to the car to look for the thing, because I have got 2 or 3 of those things for moving things, and then I realized that they are not in the car that I'm driving, they're in another car. Yeah. So I thought, let me go fetch that. Actually, I move around with my microphones. I actually have cordless microphones for the ears in the car as we speak, because I just want to say, you know what, technology must be an enabler of what we do. And so Adonis sees this thing on Facebook, and then he sends a message, and someone notices it, and he comes and he attends, and then he learns a bit about technology and all of that. As we speak, he's one of the best cybersecurity experts in the country. And on top of that, he runs the cybersecurity section of Teenpreneur Hub. So every year, he is the one who actually does it. And it's such a powerful thing when people are being taught by someone who says, I was part of this program. What did he do? He did something about it. He saw the same giants, but his response was different. Then I'm going to talk about David. So David is an interesting one. I'm not mentioning his name because I didn't get his go ahead. He's an interesting one because he watched me speak about technology in a program called Zwama Ramani in the SABC, in SABC 2. And he was in Maanda. So he hears this thing in Maanda. He's in Maanda. He was watching the program in Maanda in some rural village in the same household. This is 2021 or 2020, around 2020, 2021. In the same village, his household is similar to what you saw of Maanda, thatched roof and all. And then he sends a message on Facebook again, the same technology. And it's like, hey, I listened to what you spoke about technology and what you do. I need your help. This is my passion. Mind you, David doesn't have any qualification. He has not completed any post-metric qualification. He only has got metric. And because of money, he was not able to go further. And then he sends me this message, and I'm like, okay, show me what you have. Then I set up a meeting with some of my friends that we're going to meet with him and hear what he has. He was trying to build wireless technology for his village. And then he had taken some components from old TVs and old radios and started plugging together and made an antenna that was boosting the Wi-Fi connectivity in his village with very minimal resources. Immediately, I had a lot of components that I had in my garage, and I bought a couple of others, and then I sent stuff using the post office because he does not have a physical address. We sent a lot of things to him using the post office. As we speak, he has built a company that is distributing a lot of wireless routers that goes on top of people's roof. And they are being manufactured in thousands in China. I have not met him. I've not met him. So what am I saying? Same access to technology that you have, same access to the resources that you have. Some of you are going to use it to your best. Some of you are not. And that is not on God. Same access to the internet, same access to the Wi-Fi that you have. Some of you are going to use it to watch pornography. Some of you are going to use it to bring businesses into life. And that is not on God. It's on you. Same 24 hours that Dr. Maanda has. Same 24 hours that Dr. Maanda has. Same 24 hours that Pastor Kongelani has. Same 24 hours. Some of you are going to use it for jolling. And others are going to use it for building proper character and proper careers. And that is not on God. It's on you. Maanda spoke about talent. Some of you are very talented. You can connect dots You are negotiators. You can negotiate. Some of you are going to use this negotiation power to negotiate your way into somebody's bed. Same talent that God has given you. You're good at it. You're powerful at it. No girl can say no to you. Same talent. That is not on God. It's on you. So the issue here is not where you were born. The issue here is no longer what you have access to. The issue here is no longer time. The issue is you are not passionate enough and you don't care enough about your life that you are choosing to waste your time on useless things. So let me put it out to you in as much straightforward as possible. You do not care about yourself. And you're going to have to give yourself a little bit of respect and care. Look at your life and see how much is available for you and make a decision that I'm going to care enough for my life that I want it to be better. Because I'm here to tell you there is no excuse anymore. Excuses will not solve any of the problems. We used to tell each other, me and Maanda, to say, yeah, we've got a lot. We had enough excuses not to make it. There was enough things that we could have written down and write a whole book. But I was not going to tell my son that here are a list of things why I cannot give you a house. I was not going to go and tell my daughter that this is a book of excuses why you guys don't have food. Because despite the environment that was there, I still needed to go past. We still needed to go past those reasons. Because it doesn't matter whether they are real or not. It doesn't matter whether they are there. Yes, it does not matter whether you have you did not bring yourself into this. It's not me who made me to be born where I'm born and all of that. It really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're still going to have to be a doctor if you're called to be a doctor. You're still going to have to be an engineer if you're called to be an engineer, despite of the level ground. But you guys are better off. You've got access to much more resources. Same technology, same artificial intelligence. Some of you are going to use it to cheat on your homework. Others are going to use it to figure out how do I best use what I'm talented in to serve my community. We teach in Teenpreneur Hub and we say that go around now when you're a teenager. You don't really need, some of these things, the problems that are in your society don't need you to have a PhD. Okay, Pastor Kongalani called me doctor earlier. I appreciate the prophecy. I am studying my Doctor of Business Leadership in Artificial Intelligence. And Dr. Maanda said, there is a thinking, a feeling, and a behavior that is designed for you. And it's in every one of us. The difference is, what do you use yours for? Proverbs 18 verse 16 says, a man's gift makes room for him and brings him before the great. And I want to say this, your gift and your talent is much clearer when you're young, and your gift get clouded by nurturing as adults. So when you are younger, you are much easier. You are in a better position now to identify what you're good at. Believe you me, as you grow older and you get educated, it becomes harder. Because education kind of makes you what it wants to make you. But when you are younger, you just identify the trend of what is going on in your life. So I want to dismantle 3 myths quickly, and then we are going to go into Q&As. People believe myth number 1, you are good at it because you practice. No, you practice because you're good at it. Natural gift is a catalyst. It makes practice fun. Myth number 2, the key to success is finding the right solution to a problem. No, the key to finding the right problem to solve, the key is to find the right problem to solve. And you are in a society where there may be challenges. But if you find some way to use technology, to use what you're good at, that nice pattern that Dr. Maanda spoke about, to try and solve the local issues in community, people will pay you, not because they want you to be rich, but because they don't like the problem you're solving. Number 3, 10,000 hours rule. Whatever you spend 10,000 hours makes you a master. No, it's not true. To be the best, you must do what you have a natural gift for. If you spend 10,000 hours in something that you're not good at, it just brings frustration. You feel like a failure. I work 10,000 hours in this and I'm not the best at it. There is no way you're going to be the best at something you do not have a gift for. And there is no one without a gift, so there is no excuse. Thank you.
Come on, let's give it up for Dr. Maanda and Mr. Mbedzi. Come on, I think we can do much, much better. We can do much, much, much better. All right, you can take your seats, and we're going to head straight to Q&A. Well, I don't know. After this conversation, I just think, the conference is done. We can, wow. I'm blown away, gentlemen, and I'm super, super grateful that, some of these things require you to be very vulnerable. And Dr. Maanda, I felt that. I really, really, really felt that, And I sit here and I look at these young people, and one of the things that God has given us the privilege to pastor is young people in this community that come from different backgrounds. And I think oftentimes for the black community, it's easier. Mr. Mbedzi, as you said, to write a list of excuses why I could not be what I was designed to be. But I think you've just best the bubbles to say, if you look at where we come from and where you are now. So I was talking to Dr. Maanda yesterday. I said, one of the things I've noticed is that Wits University is just 20 kilometers out from here. But for some of you, Wits University is so far, not in terms of distance, but in terms of access. It's as far as someone who is coming from a deep rural village in Malamulele, deep rural village in the Eastern Cape, or anything of that sort. But I think what the two guests have made us realize today is that nothing is too far from you, as long as you love yourself enough and you care about yourself. Does it make sense? And the ultimate, and I've often said that inspirational speaking is good. But to Dr. Mbedzi's point, if you go home and do nothing about it, you are worse than somebody who didn't come. Because like he said, I think he put it so powerfully, that somebody who didn't come probably chose to do something else to better themselves. You came, you listened, you go home, and you do nothing about what you had. You are worse than somebody who just probably went and sold sweets. They made 50 rand at the end of the day. Shall we give it another round of applause for our guest? I'll invite you to come on the stage, and let's try and see how we do this. I'm not a talk show host, but can we have one microphone up? I'm not a talk show host, so I'll try and be Oprah Winfrey for today. Forgive me. Just to try and bring on engagement. So I want you to note your questions. And I'm sure there's a lot of questions or interesting points that you want to raise, maybe, or comments of what you have learned from the sessions. But I'm sitting with these two gentlemen this afternoon, or still morning, afternoon. I'll start, to probe just a little bit more and have just to open the floor and break the ice. All right. So, Dr. Maanda, and I think your journey is quite interesting, and I think I just want to pick your brain. Engineering is said that it's one of those toughest courses one does at university. In actual fact, I practically remember that when people would talk about going to do engineering, I don't know how true it is, but in those days they used to say there was negative marking at vets, and people will fail, and particularly the black kids, because they struggled with drawing. They'll say, the black kids can do mathematics and all other things, but technical drawing, they generally fail it, and therefore end up being dropouts in these engineering courses. If you can share with us, what was your key to success to completing your chemical engineering degree? Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Let me pick up from technical drawing. I remember in our first year, we did all these courses, and there was a drawing course, so I did relatively well on the rest. And then my first assignment or test, I got 14% in drawing. That's how difficult this thing was for us. And I remember making this clear decision to say, I could let this like make me fail the whole thing, or I can lean way in and figure it out. And you can imagine the decision I took. One of the key things I want to just highlight is there was a guy called Mishak. He came from Pretoria. He was incredible with technical drawing. First thing was for me to become his friend. We literally spend hours with Mish, kind of going, hey, how does this work? And eventually, I did very, very well. So the point I want to bring closer to us is leveraging the network or the connections or the people that God places around you. If you start to struggle, there's a good chance that you are 1% away from that breakthrough. If I struggle with technology, I could sit in my room forever and battle, or I can pick up the phone and call Mashudu. Now, that's the one point. And the second one is we just studied it. We studied it very hard. One of the things I used to do is when I did this from even high school, during December holidays, it's the most beautiful time that we have nothing to do. I used to take on the textbooks and the notes and everything for the following year. And then I'll literally plow through almost a quarter or sometimes half of next year's syllabus because I had the time. And the same question Mashudu was asking, with the same 24 hours, what might you do with it? Let me just bring those two. Pre-studying before the year even begins, doubling down even when we are on breaks, and then leveraging the connections I had around me.
Wow. Look, and I think if you're a young person, it's very important to take note of that because, and particularly if you're in grade 12, I feel like it's 1 year that you have that defines the rest of your life, more than what you go and study at university. If you get grade 12 wrong, a whole lot becomes messed up in your life. And to studying, I remember I grew up I went to a high school where, you remember we used to have higher grade and standard grade subjects. It was not like now where it's just the same. So the school I went to, they never taught accounting in higher grade. So the teachers will tell you. And the fundamental thing about the higher grade accounting was something called the cash flow statement. It was just a crazy statement that you had to learn. And I took accounting in high grades without a teacher to teach me accounting in high grade. I thought it was suicidal at times, but in those days we used to have these books called Study and Master. And to your point of doing the syllabus before, I remember doing my study and master in accounting 4 times before I wrote my exam in matric. And I came out with a B without a teacher. And I think it speaks to that, and I think every student has to learn that, to say, your teacher will not study for you. No matter how best your teachers are, you've got to work hard yourself. Right. Mr. Mbezi, you failed grade 10. Probably naughty tendencies, learner kind of, those who are hanging around the corner of the fence of the school during breaks and Now, what can you tell these young people today who are here, and you speak in your speech to say, then you meet Dr. Maanda, you become friends. How big is the influence of friendship as a teenager?
That's a very, very open and loaded question. And maybe just to add on Dr. Manda's point, we used to do that, and initially you think your teachers don't want to give you books. Believe me, if you go to your teacher before in December and ask for books, they're going to give them to you. We completed the whole additional syllabus of algorithms and all of that in December, and I remember in the first grade 12 results, I was known as the guy that didn't go on top, and I think that time I took number 2 in maths because I studied the whole maths in December, but I was never part of the top 10, top 20, or top 30, or the top 40. But to correct you, I didn't fail grade 10 only. I failed grade 9. And but grade 9 happened in 2000 when there was a flood, and the flood moved me because the government decided everybody with 33%, which is standard for you guys, it wasn't back then for us. So they decided that everyone with 33% can now be made to move to the next grade. That's how I made it to this grade 10, but grade 10 told me I was here, not on the right way. But to the question of influence, the people that I failed grade 9 with, also I failed grade 10 with. But the people that I passed grade 10 with after creating a new level or circle of influence, I want to take you to grade 12, when this group of people, Pastor Rugisani, Dr. Maanda, and all of these guys, we used to get, because we studied the whole night, so when we get to school to write our exams, we used to go to the hall. There were like 10 of us, and we will be praying together for the exam. And I remember Pastor Rugisani saying, I pray that everyone here will pass with an average of distinction. We were working very hard, but at that moment, I was the guy on the 60s. So to get to distinction, let's take, for example, for geography, it required me to get 100%. So it looks like mission impossible, but now I'm surrounded by people who have already prayed. I can't disappoint God. So I went and worked hard for 100%. I don't know if I got 100% or what, but I got a distinction even in geography. So the people you are around, I call it positive peer pressure. The peer pressure that takes you forward. The peer pressure from the people that just want to make you get better. It doesn't end as a teenager. It continues even when you are grown. We keep each other on the toes by every time there is a move of success, we learn from each other. We grow together. We call each other every now and then, and we keep in touch about how do we better serve our society and how do we become a better influence to everybody. So, yes, who you are around with actually matters. It's not a myth that you are the average of the 5 people around you. I don't even want to say 5. Even 2, even one person can mess up your life.
Sure. Wow. Right. Now it makes sense. Any questions from our audience today? If you have a question, please raise your hand. There's a roaming mic. They'll come to you. I'm sure you have. Okay, I see 1, 2, 3. Okay. Can I take 5 first? So just raise your hand, and then we'll go. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4. Let's start here in the front, Minister. Yeah, there's a lot of questions. Just rise up and then tell us your name and the question.
Afternoon. My name is Tika. And my question is, what did it take for you to develop the mentality that you have? The mentality that keeps on pushing you, because you mentioned that you faced a lot of setbacks, failing, and you had to change your behavior and your personality. I want to know, how did you triumph in the face of all those adversities? Like, you had to change your way of thinking. What did it take for you to change?
Very, very good questions. I think we can take the next one. Just please note it down.
More like Tika's question, but just on Caleb and Joshua. How does one become Caleb and Joshua without feeling like they want attention, or they're seeking attention, or they like, oh, you guys think you are better than us because we're saying we can't do it? Well, how does one become to go and give a good feedback, to have confidence and just move to the next level without feeling that they need to surpass themselves to be like everyone? Just when you feel like you're too hyper or too ambitious, and you're like, no, but you need to calm down. How does one get?
Amazing.
Good afternoon. My name is Lebogang. And my question is for Mr. Mashudu. He said that he was in tech, and I myself wish that I can work in tech. And yes, Mfundisi, it's because I saw somebody's car. However, ever since I got into the software development field, I have thought that I wanted to work in enterprise systems, and yet I cannot find my feet in what I want exactly. Does that then mean that it is not my passion or what I'm meant for? Does that mean that I am in the wrong footing of where I'm going? Does that mean it's not my field, or should I consider something else?
Two more.
Good morning, everyone. I'm not sure if this is a big question, but I struggle to stay motivated with things. Like, I'll start something and I'll struggle to complete it and continue going forward. So what kept you so motivated all these times?
I think Dr. Maanda will answer that for us. He also has a similar thing, but is still a high achiever.
Good day, my name is Mkela. My question is, living in a society or in a time where AI is part of our everyday life, how can we as young professionals use AI or be productive with AI without losing our critical thinking skills?
Okay, so I think these are like these are like good questions, and I think I had noted something down, Mr. Mbezi, as you respond to the first question, is that to that first question, you work with a lot of young people, and from difficult backgrounds, both the stories you share, gentlemen, are like really, really moving stories. What are some of the damaging mindsets that, based on where we come from, we develop? Now, hinder us and limit us, and goes to how do you develop the spirit of Caleb and Joshua and break out of the myth. Now, you are poor. Even if you get educated, where are you going to go? There's no money. Yeah. So you can take it away.
I'm not taking all of them. This is muted from the back. Oh, there it is back now. Thank you so much. So I think, Pastor Kongelani, one of the very challenging mindset that is hard to uproot is to think that where I am has got an influence to where I'm going. It doesn't. What you do has an influence to where you're going more than where you are. So this is the reason why the world is full of people. There is someone, and I always say that God will go and pull out someone in another village who was in the same situation that you are and still made it. So that kind of mindset is a limiting mindset. And the second mindset is to believe that it is someone else's responsibility for you to succeed. And this is usually coupled with the idea that I need to do this for my parents, I need to do this for my family, etc., etc. 10 years from now, you will be the parent. Some of you. 20 years from now, you will be the parent. And there is no way, except for suicide, which I pray that you do not get into, to escape the fact that what you are thinking is not your problem, is going to be your problem. There is no way to escape that what you do now affects who you become. And whether you like it or not, your future is coming, and every single day is coming. And when it comes, the mindset of thinking that you're not responsible for that future, it's a limiter. The mindset to think that the people that you have around you are responsible for your future, it is a limiter. And for you to remain unlimited is to put yourself in that position of saying, what I'm seeing around me right now, do I still want to see it in 10 years' time? And then decide what to do about that. And this goes to the question that was asked first. What did it take for me to change my mindset? If there's one thing I do not want to be, I don't want to be poor. I always tell people that I've gone so low in my life that I don't think there's another level or another floor below where I've been. And no matter what happens, you keep your mindset set on success because you know what it looks like to be poor. And that in itself is good enough to know that I don't want to be poor. I don't want to go backwards. I don't want that. And you put all the effort to try and make sure that you bring a better output out of your life than what was given to you. The mindset is simple. Where I was 30 or so years ago was not because of me. I was born there, I did not have a choice. I didn't vote for that. But where I am today, I voted for it. So the mindset start changing when you start realizing what does your choices and decisions you're doing now result in 10 to 20 years' time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There are other questions.
I need to answer the others.
You can
Go
share.
through. Oh, okay, yes. Yeah. I'm gonna quickly speak to Lebohang, and then I will jump to number 5 as well. Lebohang is saying she's not finding her feet. Is it not her field? The influencing factors of finding your feet goes beyond what you're good at and what you're filled with. Sometimes it's just opportunities, not getting the opportunities. So I'm not going to answer this question. I'm going to give you the opportunity. I'll talk to my head of operations and technology consulting, and then I'll take your contact details, and then you can, when working on certain projects, you can get an opportunity to shadow and work with him. And then you can taste this thing and work in an environment. Oh, by the way, we've got a policy in our company. Our company is a young people's company. At any point in time, the average age must never be greater than youth in our company. Most of the young people, there's some of them, I've worked with them in church. Some of them, we mentored them when they were in high school and university. And we keep young people only. I don't think, other than me, the average age is probably 22 or 23 within the company. You know, so I will create that opportunity. Then you can tell from that experience whether this is for you or not. But without opportunity and without getting access, it's difficult to come to that conclusion. And then on the AI, how can young professionals use AI and still use critical thinking? AI is not your career. AI is not a solution, just like any other technology. It's an enabler. You do not have to go and become an AI specialist. I do not believe that matters that much, although I'm studying AI on my PhD level. What I believe matters is what you are good at and what you want to do. You must augment it with AI. So your critical thinking, so what it does, it just reduces the effort necessary for you to reach your goal. So it does not change your goal. You cannot go and ask AI, what am I good at? Like, why? Or you cannot go and ask AI, where will I be in 10 years? You can go and tell AI that, well, I want to be here doing this and achieving this. And what are some of the steps I need to take? And then it gives you a couple of steps, but you cannot also go back and reply and say, AI, can you please take those steps for me? So I just want to bring forth this strong point that just like any other technology, artificial intelligence is an enabler. It's like oil, you know. It doesn't drive the car. It makes the fuel that makes the car move. But someone still had to design the car. Thank you.
Yeah, so I said Dr. Maanda must respond to the one that you struggle with keeping motivated. And the reason why I gave it to him is because, I mean, I've known Dr. Maanda for, I think the first time I met Dr. Maanda must have been just around 2016 or so. He was organizing, so there was a group of guys, you know. I don't even know how I came to the circle of this group because I didn't go to UCT at all, or neither was I at VETS. I was in some rural university somewhere in Limpopo. So I guess because I became a pastor and then in that circle I get into this group he had with guys from UCT. They studied together. And they tried to organize some golf lessons for us to go to World of Golf. You know, he was starting to play golf. He was enjoying the sport, and he get the guys to come. I went once or twice. I never liked the thing. I dropped it. I picked it up later, and I enjoy it now. However, I've seen the man does golf. I've seen the man run. So he runs. He cycles. He does this, what is this thing where you do all these sports together? Yeah. And he
Triathlons.
yeah, he
Swimming.
does swimming, tennis. I've seen him do tennis, car racing, you know, like literally I've seen him do everything. And I'm like, how do you do this thing? So one day, last year in December, I played golf with both of them. And as we're walking, we played here in Dainfen, where he lives. So we're walking, and he says to me, I can't do one thing. I get bored easily, so I must do all these things to stay motivated. So the question you're asking is very valid because it's an issue of how do you do all these things and still be very successful at all of them? Because whatever he does, you know, he does it at a peak level. It's not that when he runs 2 kilometers. He goes and runs 21-kilometer marathon. He goes and runs all these things. When he's cycling, I see him posting, he has just cycled 100 kilometers. And I'm thinking 100 kilometers is a long, long distance. Sometimes I see the speed of the bicycle there is 60 kilometers per hour. I'm like, Geez, I mean, I don't do motorbike or anything, but I would feel so unsafe with a bicycle riding at 60. So that's why I'm giving it to you.
Wow. So, um, it's, the reason I was not good in my early years, if I look back, I think it would have been, if I was here, I would have been diagnosed with ADHD. So, the long answer is God made me this way. And when we were younger, it's seen as, this thing we must give you medication and you must kill it and you must sit still. I'll come back to answer specifics as well. But I remember this time I was working in one of the corporates, and my manager was just like, "Can you just focus and do this job?" Me, I was like doing something for the CEO there, and I was running that other thing, and I was so frustrated with myself. I went to a silence retreat. All good things comes from silence retreat. And what happens there is you spend like days without talking, calling people, etc. But then this specific one, where the silence retreat director will meet with for 15 minutes at the beginning of the day. So I tell her this, and I go, "What's wrong with me?" Then she looked at me and she said, "Have you ever considered that God made you this way with the zeal for life, and that He is so happy to see you do all these multiple pursuits?" And since that day, I'm just like, God made me this way. I feel like I wanna start something. I go for it. God made me this way. But let me go back to the science of it also. In the strength things that I spoke about, I am a particular profile with a thing called activator. I thrive in activating things, and then I am terrible at finishing things. Like my energy bursts out if I have to start a project, and I will do it. I'll stay late at night. I'll do whatever it takes. But my energies just drop when we have to finish. If we have to build this church, when we have to now do like the final touches, it's just, I can do it, but it's no longer me. And what I learned, even in corporate, is that I'll join a company, and then there's like a big problem to be solved. I'll turn things around, and then we go to a maintenance level where it's now we're just having compliance meeting. It's just like this. My energy levels drops, and then I don't do well. And then I realize that I will then quit that company. So I realized this pattern of job hopping, until my other silence retreat, where I also realized I am made to activate. I'm a strategy consultant. I come in, we do a 3-month project, and then we energize whatever it is we need to do. I think very strategically, and after 6 months, that's no longer me. If you want someone to maintain things, you kind of bring different people. So I tell all these stories to say, as we were saying earlier, the sooner you can know you, the better. I now just kind of go, okay, that's for me, now that's not for me. And what I do is I bring myself, I surround myself with people that, one of my execs, head of operations, she just thrives in finishing and getting to the final detail. I'll birth a project, but then I know when to sort of transition out. Now, let's go to almost, if I had known who I was earlier, I would have made different choices even earlier. And my encouragement is, can you study you like to that level of detail that says, actually, God made me this way. Pastor Kongelani is made a certain way. Mashudu is made a certain way. And the danger with advice is if you say, what's the secret to succeeding? I'll say study as much as I've studied. Yeah? 10 degrees and PhDs, etc. But in my strength profile, my number one strength is learner. I am hardwired for learning. If there is a problem, I learn through it. My second strength is to think strategically. So that strategic, it's me. I was just born like that. I didn't have to study it. And then the third one is activator, and then there's a couple, there's two more. If I'd known this earlier, structured my career around these strengths, understood what drains my energies, what energizes me, I think, and which I truly believe, I probably will be a lot further ahead. And that's why I believe that if you can get to know yourself sooner, you are likely going to outpace us. Now, this helps me answer the first question. How did I stay motivated? I am a gifted learner. I love learning. So through the ups and downs of poverty and school, I will bury myself into reading. I will have, there was someone with taxi, who drove taxis, and they'll come back home with newspapers. I will go find those old newspapers, read through as much as possible, study on holidays, etc. I'm just hardwired for learning. And that's why it feels like it feels unfair sometimes for us to say what we say, because some things we are hardwired for. And that's that one. Caleb and Joshua and standing out. I want to first acknowledge that the world loves uniformity, and they just, for all of us to be the same, for all of us to sing the same, speak in tongues the same way, dress the same way, can I just encourage you to, even if you don't say it out loud, to kind of go, God made me unique, and He's gifted me differently, and He's hardwired me differently. I want to embrace my difference and just kind of stay in your lane. And here's what happens. Sooner or later, you find people in your who are hardwired like you. You start to find the Mashudus and the Kongelanis. I remember it was the group called Iron Sharpen Iron. So we started to, your squad will form. Your circle will form. The people that are, the Calebs, before you know it, it's 4, it's 5, it's 6 of you. But it really starts with you acknowledging that. Can't find my feet. I think Mashudu spoke to that. Staying motivated. One of the things that happened to me in our group in high school, one of my friends got gifted a book by John C. Maxwell called Your Roadmap for Success. And he's a leadership guy. So I somehow stumbled upon this thing. I started reading this. That book gripped me so much. And he was telling stories of people that, in tough backgrounds, and they became successful. And the key message is that, you can be anything you want to be. I rewrote most of that book in my own minute book because I had to return the original copy. But those were some of the messages I kept reading out to myself, just repeating the same. I almost memorized as much of the book as I possibly can. Now, how do I learn this? To say, we can hear all this and then we move on to the next thing, or we can hear all of this, some of those things that really, really speak to you, hold on to them, and then they can become a thing that kind of keeps you motivated for the long haul. I feel like I've been talking for a while. Let me just add one thing to your last question. There's a quote I go back to every now and again that says, when we forget our ability to choose our actions, we learn to be helpless. When we forget that we are given the ability to choose, we learn to be helpless. Helplessness is something you learn.
largely when you forget that, wait a minute, I can choose to study like, in the next hour. I can choose to read up on technology this next hour. I can choose what to do next. He spoke about these things of staying late at night. And one of the things we did was, when you grow up, we had to go fetch water from the thingy and do some of the chores. So we'll come back from school, do some of the chores, sleep a little bit. When everyone else and everything is settled, that's when we wake up and we go all the way until we stand up to go to school. Some things we have to do and survive, but we can always choose our next action. If we forget that we can choose, then we learn to be helpless.
Wow, thank you so much. Right, mindful of time, I'm going to give a last round because I must release these gentlemen. They have busy schedules. From the back, there were hands that were raised. Please raise your hands again. Yeah, so let's start five questions. I'll limit it to 5, so make sure you get the mic to yourself quickly. Is the mic on?
Hey, hello guys. So my name is Minkenso, and what I wanted to ask is, how do we incorporate God into our career paths, and how do we know what is right for us? Because, for example, if someone wants to get into the career of art, they like doing art and they know that that's their passion, but they know that arts is like not a career that pays much. How do we incorporate it into our other interests like science, and how do we find the gap and the connection between those two to like form a career that incorporates God and our passion into our career?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I am speaking on behalf of Dimpo because Dimpo told me that she's shy to ask a question. Dimpo's question is, you spoke on talent and how it's important that as young people we discover our talents at at an early age and use that and capitalize on that. Dimpo is asking that how do you then, if the time has already passed, how do you as a person who's already seasoned actually navigate finding a talent and working with that? Thank you.
Thank you. My question is to Mr. Mashudu, and I think it's okay. Well, it is about mentorship. To ask Uti, how important is mentorship? What is the relationship between a mentor and a mentee, considering the fact that you guys are busy? When is it appropriate for a young person to get a mentor, and how does one go about that? And the second one is that you mentioned something very important about you being friends with high achievers, which can be intimidating when we become honest. So I would like to know, how do you deal with the intimidation? Because as much as it is intimidating, it's also very important to be around people that challenge you, that push you to do better. How did you deal with all that?
Oh,
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sitoluk Vitaliz. My question is, I heard this other night, I had a conversation with my mom. So I asked her, because I was telling her a lot about dermatologists. So she told me that in this generation, you can find some people who have all the requirements of being doctors, specialists, and all the stuff, but they're still sitting at home and they can't get the job. So how can you solve that situation? Because I don't want to find myself in that situation in the future. My name is Tenda. I just wanted to ask, how did you realize when you're in high school that the company of friends that you had weren't good for you?
Greetings, everyone. I'm Bugona, and the question that I'm about to ask is, what was the exact moment or project that made you realize that this is the career path for you?
Last one, last one. Last one. It's the last one. The rest you can ask the career people who will be on the tables. Yeah.
Hi guys. My questions are a little bit nested, so please bear with me. So the first question that I have is, how do you deal with leading people, especially in corporate environments that are more experienced than you, because everybody's going to be looking at you with your little degree and they have their masters there. And what are the basic characteristics for leadership, especially for somebody who has never been a leader before?
You take half of that, you take another.
No, thank you so much. Well, mine today is not to answer any questions. So my job is very, very easy, Doc. So I'll keep it very simple to facilitate. And I think you can divide between yourselves. But I think just to add to the first question that Mikenso asked was around, because I had something written down, how important is faith? And I hear the two of you as you talk about your journeys from high school, prayer, fasting, because I come from that school of thought where fasting and prayer was very critical to, God sharpening you, your spirit, and all that. So, how important is faith to your education, your career? But two, fundamentally, she raises a point of, career choices. And I know sometimes we pitch these things to be about money, but I think the question she's raising is fundamental in terms of, is everything about money? Is it about how much I can make, or there is more to it than money? And I think you can take it up.
So I have a chemistry background, and we did, water can be in solid state, liquid state, and gases. So my motto for life is, faith is a state of my life. So wherever I'm at, it's like a permanent state. And I don't think one can do half or even a quarter of some of the things we spoke about without prayer, fasting. And the higher you go, the harder, the more faith you need, because the decisions are, you're choosing between good and good. You're choosing between this graduate person and that graduate person to give them a job. And needless to say is, faith, prayer is the anchor to everything we speak about. Now, on the conversation of career and money, how do I put this? You know the other car you said I mustn't bring? When I did my career as a chemical engineer, I probably will be driving that car or something slightly better than that car, right, as a chemical engineer. But then when I switched to do strategy work that's aligned to who I am and that fits me like a glove, I then drive the car I drive. So if I was doing a career day thing, someone would have sort of said, go do the engineering. You will make money. And I want to submit that for me, if I stayed in that path of engineering, I would have made way less money. Now that I am in the world that fits me, money is just sort of the natural outcome. To say that regardless of the offers that are in front of us, some might look like they are more lucrative now, but if they're not linked to who you are, you go up and then you sort of stagnate for a very, very long time. So I might not be able to say, take that career choice or the other one. All I can encourage is whatever you do, don't lose the arts. Don't lose the creativity. I understand there's some practical choices that could be made earlier that says, you know what, I'm gonna do engineering now, and then I work a little bit, and then I'm gonna, pivot to something, that you're more passionate about. However you navigate that, I think faith and prayer and God speaking to you I will leave that to you. But whatever you do, please, can that creativity be with you longer? If you abandon it for money, you will make some money and you will stagnate. Because when it's not you, you'll hate it. I can't walk around with 3 microphones and technology, little things. That's not who I am. And if I follow his path, I'm going to follow it. I will push harder, but then I'll just settle somewhere in the middle. So when we choose careers, please can we choose something that God made you towards, and it glorifies God when you do it. Yeah. In the long run, you will make way more money that it doesn't matter. The money doesn't matter. Okay, I've overdone that one.
Let me bring an element to that. Where is Miss Mbalat, Lorna? She's there. Please stand up. I want to use her as an example. Please stand up. And some of us know her. She's here at our church. And she's actually the mother to the kid who asked the question. Now, the amazing thing, and why I want to use her, is because me and her studied at the same university, so she was just a year behind me. And we did CTA, postgraduate in accounting, at the same university. We also happened to do our psych articles at the same bank, at Standard Bank. Now, why I want to use an example to career and money and all that is because she's a qualified chartered accountant. But right when we were doing articles, she made it clear that this thing of corporate was not her thing. Said, I want to be a lecturer. Sure. I don't get this corporate thing. It frustrates me. Sure. And as we speak today, she's a senior lecturer at the University of Johannesburg. And at that time, the common theme you will hear was lecturing doesn't pay. There is no money there. You won't make money and all these things. And being a banker is a very lucrative career. I mean, if you see some of the salaries the bankers make, it's big money. And I think it's very important for everyone to note, as much as we have to make some practical decision around career and money, but passion and who you are, as Dr. Maanda has put, lies at the heart of what you do. Discovering your talents, discovering who you are, and doing that, because money will take you up to this point, and then from there it's a flat and actually even going down. But passion sustains you throughout in its entirety. Thank you so much.
I love that example. And you are happier. And I can say this, that need to pick my words well. Happiness, so at a certain level of affordability, no, I don't know if I will be able to make the point. It's a lot more important to be happier and be fulfilled and than have all these material things. there's a place where we need these material things. I interchange between the cars, like it's, and I'll drive one of the oldest car. At a certain point, it doesn't matter, and what matters more is, are you in flow? Do you wake up and you just skip dance to work? Do you feel like you can just work longer? Here's the one thing I remember making a decision on. I asked myself, can I read an engineering magazine on Saturday? I was an engineer. Can I pick up one of those mining weekly magazine or engineering weekly? I realized, no, I won't. But I will pick up a Harvard Business Review magazine. So maybe a question for you as you navigate career and passion. Asking yourself honestly, can I pick up a CA related magazine and just read at the beach? And if you can't, there's probably a good chance that maybe there's a need to pivot. Can you read a computer science magazine at the beach? Or whatever career you're choosing. Okay, so let me answer a few things. Refine yourself. There's a great book. I spoke about Jim Collins. It's top of mind because I just finished now. But one of the key takeaways, he studied all the successful people. He found that they made their biggest impact, like the biggest impact in their lives after 60. Who is closer to 60 here? 60. Biggest impact. So what I want to say is, it's never too late to go through the process of asking yourself, your giftings, your passion, your purpose. And then when you arrive at that, practicalities and all, let's navigate towards it. I'll say one thing, I know Mashudu will answer mentorship, but there's a saying in Chivenda which says, "Tiwana iraiwandirani," which loosely translates, a poor child gets advised by the wayside. And it guides me. And what I want to encourage is, how could you place yourself by the waysides of a lot of these potential mentors or successful people? And my advice will be to seek out a mentorship conversation rather than a mentor. Seek out a mentorship conversation rather than a mentor. A mentorship conversation, you can have it in 5 minutes or 15 minutes. That goes, I'm here, I'm a young person, I'm trying to figure out career decisions. What do you say? Someone like me, Bafunzi, might have the ability to answer you that 15 minutes. What I see young people do more of, which becomes harder, is they will write to any of us and say, can you be my mentor? Which means I must now sort of invest, and then we walk a long journey, and it's meetings after meeting. You find that some of these people don't have capacity. But if you kind of go, I don't have to have that person be a mentor to me, but I can have a mentorship conversation with him. Facebook, all the platforms that are available. Other thing for me is this. In as much as I'm hardwired to do multiple things, I remember way back when I was trying to get them to play golf, I'd heard that when you, at the golf course, you meet these people. So I went to go learn golf, and then when I'm at the golf, and I was eventually got to be a member at one of the Houghton Golf Club. Met so many incredible people, and they planted these seeds almost on a weekly basis, because you get there, and then they're like, yeah, I work at this company, and then most of them like, yeah, I run a company. Over time, I started to tune my mind to go, maybe I should consider running a company. And all I needed to do was to learn how to play golf. Then I realized, as the time goes, more and more people are doing cycling. And then I went to go buy a bike, learn how to cycle. And what happens with cycling? What we do is we go up to the cradle, we cycle, And this community of people, then they come back and they sit at a coffee shop. Because now we're all cyclists together, the conversation starts. And then you ask a question or two. Running, there was a gentleman who mentored me. I knew he was a runner. Jumped into running. Tennis. So I used how I'm hardwired, because I'm not great at coffee chats. That's just me. I'm an active person. So I'm hardwired for doing these things. If I know there will be potential pastors that I need to network with and they play golf, I'm going to learn how to play golf and connect with them. So what am I saying? Seek out the places where these people are at. And at first, you seek out a mentorship conversation. It might build up to a full mentor-mentee journey. But if you are clear what question you want to ask, you might just get 20 minutes with this one person. And I can tell you many stories of like, I spoke to this guy and then he said this and then I took left with my career. So you need the mentorship conversations. So let's do whatever it takes. I may have answered a lot more questions.
Yeah.
Maybe you answer, I might circle back to take one more.
Right. 2 minutes to wrap up. I'll give you 2 minutes to wrap up.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Pastor. So I am going to wrap up, but I think some of these things needs to be answered. Like Mkenso's question, how do we incorporate God into our careers? I made a decision one time that actually my family, my career, and God are not separate entities. There is God who is in all of them. So how do I make sure that, so I was telling someone last night after the service that if I was to do a corrupt thing in order to sustain my business, I'll be having a lot of faith in the devil. Like I really have to trust the devil a lot to actually let him be in charge of my business. And I do not, so I can't. And that answers the question. It's everything. What God has called me to do, which is empowering young people, I do through my company. So if I need to learn more about technology because it is what is necessary to reach into more young people, I learn more into technology. So there is a purpose to every single part that I need to do. I want to answer the arts doesn't pay part as well. Arts pays a lot. I'm going to explain. There is something we call UI UX designer, user interface, user experience designer. It's an artist. I went and pulled a young man with grade 12 to come and become an UI UX designer in our company. And when we do any design of customer relationship management or any big software, the customer loves the functionality, but they don't care about it. They care about how it looks and how it communicates with their customers. And because of that, I invested a lot in UI UX designing. And then we sometimes can charge for a simple front website a good 30,000 rand to a customer, simply because the user interface, because I'm using an artist, is very, very well done. And so I let him run his own business. And he runs his own business and then invoices from us. And then I'm telling you, if he had done that by himself without understanding the power of this tool, he probably will not invoice as much as he invoices now. As an artist, he's an artist, he does a lot of arts, he does a lot of 3D modeling and stuff. For example, we build a CRM and I'm like, I want it to be gamified. I want when salespeople meet their targets, as they are moving, let it be a basketball. Let every time a person meet a certain target, let them be moving towards the basket. And then when they meet the target, let the ball go and score. People get excited. You put that thing in your company, and then everyone can see how behind they are towards that basket. That's an artist. And you can get paid a lot of money in that. But you don't get paid a lot of money, and you're frustrated at the same time. But also what I want to bring about is arts doesn't pay everywhere. So the key here is find a place where it pays. Find a place where there is payment and bring arts inside. And that is the same with everything. Comedy doesn't pay. But Trevor Noah is a comedian, right? He found that corporate comedy where you're doing it at politics and all of that, it pays. So find a place where you can plug in what you're gifted in and let it pay. And that is how you deal with that. Mentorship, I think Maanda covered on it. I mentor a lot of people, but none of them are registered in any book called mentees. All they do is they know I'm available, and every time they need to make critical decisions, and every time they're looking for something that I've already experienced, they come and tap into the wisdom and say, you have done this before, you have spoken about this. So I want to dismantle the myth that the only mentors you're going to have on technology are sitting in this stage, the only mentors you're going to have in strategy are sitting in this stage, the only mentors you're going to have in pastoring and the chartered accountant are going to be in this stage. God is not a fool. The people you're looking for are in your society. But don't look down on them. Learn from them, and you will be much, much better, faster. I think the last question that was asked was people qualified but no jobs. I think we need to stop looking for jobs and start looking for problems. Everyone is willing to pay for somebody who solves a problem. You cannot be investing all your life looking for jobs. I always tell people who want to do, we're talking about careers and passion here. I've got a couple of people. I stayed with a young man in our house who became an Orlando Pirates player. And I said to him that this Orlando Pirates playing and stuff actually will not work, right? It will not work because how many players went to the World Cup for Bafana Bafana? 26 or 24. Yeah. That's how many positions exist in the national team in soccer. Those are the only positions available. And then on top of that, add the 16 companies called Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates, Sundowns. Those are all the companies you have that are going to pay you enough. But sports is a natural thing for us Africans. So leave this and go learn coaching. You love sports. So you can now do coaching. On the coaching, there is more opportunities. You coach the kids. He coaches kids somewhere in Limpopo, in Louis Trichardt, and very rich people are paying him every month 800. He has got over 2,000 kids. Multiply 2,000 by 800 per month. And then you got your number. Right? See, does sports pay? Not everywhere. Did he have to get a job at Orlando Pirates or at Chiefs to be a coach? No. But he saw a problem in Louis Trichardt and he moved and went to solve a problem. And he's getting paid for the problem. We need to stop this mentality that we are busy training everybody to get a job. We are training everybody to solve our societal problems, and there are many. There is not enough jobs, but there is enough problems, and people will pay you for the problems.
Right, thank you so much. I want you to give a round of applause to our guest today. I think we can do better. I know we still have a lot of questions, but yeah. So we're supposed to be on program number 2 already. We're supposed to have had a break and all that, but I think the conversations were worth it. I think every moment of it, for me, I wish I had an opportunity to hear this when I was your age. I wish I had that opportunity. You know, I have no regrets of how my life has turned out and how everything has been and how everything is going. Oftentimes I do say to people that if I had been exposed to certain things I'm exposed to today, I probably would be far ahead more than where I am. And that's the reality. But not that I regret where I am. I'm grateful to God for having done what he has done and what he continues to do. So what I'm trying to say is you sit in a very, very privileged position. You know, to have people well accomplished like this come right in front of you. For some of us, when we grew up where I grew up, the most accomplished people were teachers, nurses, and police officers in our community. These were the most accomplished people in our communities. A doctor was a very rich person where I come from. If you're a medical doctor, your family was very rich. Even the kids from there behaved differently from everybody else. But all of you have privileges to sit with people that are running multinational organizations to tell you that black child is possible and you can be whatever. What was the main purpose? You can do way better than us. You can do what? Way better than us. I don't want to see anyone atsamaya ko kasi veile buruku mo atsamaya are eta and their life end up aveile buruku mo and the buruku never goes up anywhere. No. We can do what? Let's say it again. We can do what? All right, thank you so much, and I'll give over to Minister Funzo to wrap up, and then I don't know, the directors will probably just have a 10 minutes break, and let's rework the program and see how we manage it. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pastor, and thank you to our guest speakers. We can kindly take our seats. Thank you. Yes, we can continue to appreciate them as they go to our pastor's lounge as we take our seats as well. So I'm here to quickly wrap up on the announcements, as Pastor has already indicated that we are behind time. So we will be moving to the next section, which is session number 2 of our day 2, which is the young adult session. So, but just some quick announcements. After we close off here on this first session, we'll be moving to the stations. I'm sure if you can look at your back there, they've prepared tables where we'll be getting our career guidance, whichever career you're interested in, whichever pursuit on the career field that you want to embark on, you can go to those various ones. They'll be giving you the university brochures, how to guide you, how to apply, everything, so on and so forth. Same way that we did it last year. So I'm sure we are well aware on that. And then lastly, after that, we'll be having a little lunch just for us to, I'm not sure how to translate that in English, because we are not really eating to fill ourselves up, but just because we've been here since morning. And then, yeah, it will be that, the career guidance, and then we'll have a little lunch, and then we're going to take a 5 to 10 minute break, and then we'll return for the second session, which is the young adult session, and then we'll take it from there. So we can please close our eyes as I go close for us this first session, this wonderful first session that we had. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for your mercy, your grace, and your love once again. I want to thank you for this first session that you took us through, mighty God. We thank you that all the knowledge, the advices, the wisdom that was shared, mighty God, will act as a seed that has been sown to the ground, oh God, that is going to bear fruit, mighty God. Let no one who came here, Heavenly Father, have that seed that will be choked by anything apart from growth that you have intended for us, oh God. In the mighty name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, instill within each and every one of us as young people a hunger, mighty God, to do way better, as it was the theme of our career day today, mighty God. In Jesus' mighty name, we thank you as we transition into our second session of this career day. In Jesus' mighty name, we thank you, Father. Amen. So we can please go to the various career stations there.
The young adults, please, let's come back and settle down at least 25 past 1. All the young adults, we come back and settle down. Thank you.